Welcome to All About the Experiences. Today is my 18th episode, so I am officially a podcasting adult, if you will. Thank you all for tuning in each week and supporting the podcast. My hope is that each episode you will have a new takeaway from the stories and the experiences that are shared, and somehow it'll bring about positivity because all we all know we need positivity right now and just inspire you to do great things even within your own experiences. Do you know that there are like times that you'll meet somebody and you just have this instant connection? Well, today's guest and I definitely have that instant connection, and I'm definitely fortunate to have crossed paths with him. And can I just say this? Like, it's kismet when you meet somebody that enjoys a lot of the same things that you do. But when you just have a vibe and you just want to roll with it, you'll see what I'm talking about. I just had to throw that out there, but you know. Anyway, this week's guest will provide us an all expertise view on the beautiful destination of Tempe, Arizona. If you don't know where Tempe is located in the heart of the Metropolitan Phoenix area, and it's refreshingly offbeat. Tempe is a college town, much like San Diego, with a personality all its own. And it's a welcoming destination with a spirited lifestyle where you will find fun filled activities at every single turn. And believe you me, I do know this. And you're probably asking me, well, what's the connection between my guest and this amazing area of Tempe? Well, he is a world traveler. He has a passion for art and coffee, and yeah, he just loves to learn about new people and culture. And obviously, because of that, you can see why he and I must be twins, or we're related, or connected, or something. And some of his favorite times are by the ocean and enjoying delicious tacos. And everybody knows me. I never miss a Taco Tuesday. And anytime I can get to the ocean, I'm there. So, yeah, he and I definitely have a connection. And I know for sure we are twins. He is also one of Tempe's national sales managers. And he helps planners like myself and other organizations find ideal venues, hotels, food, anything Tempe, he's your man. He'll be able to help you with activities, anything you can think of, anything that you don't think of, he's able to help you in all those manners. And also, you can have a memorable experience because guess what? You're not sitting here like what I used to do before I learned how to use my CVBs and Googling stuff. You actually get firsthand knowledge on all things that are great in Tempe. And if you're a planner like myself, it'll make you look like a rock star. Let me just say that. He is a transplant from the East Coast of Connecticut, and he and his talented artist wife, Sarah, have made Tempe their home for over 21 years. They enjoy sunny days and adventures in their backyard and beyond. And I have to say, without further delay, I'm welcoming Matt Connelly to My Hood, AKA All About the Experiences Living Without Limits podcast. Welcome, Matt. How are you?
Hello, Cheryl. Thank you for having me on this great adventure of yours. Thank you so much.
I have to tell you, like, oh, I love giving people little seeds and everything, but Matt, you know, you are one of my all-time favorite people. And from the moment we met, and I will get into that how we met, but from the moment we met, I was just like, this is my brother from another mother.
Exactly. I
Mhm.
feel it.
Yes, for sure.
Kindred spirits.
Definitely kindred spirits. So I'll go right into it. So Matt and I actually met when we were at a Smart Meetings event or experience, as Marin has coined them now. And we were at the Biltmore in Phoenix, Arizona. And that was not my first time in Phoenix, but definitely my first time experiencing Phoenix from the perspective of being an event planner and just learning all of the wonderful things that are available to event planners and beyond. I mean, any type of experience, whether it's corporate or, personal, family reunions, whatever it is, Tempe and obviously the Phoenix metropolitan area is a great place to go, and Matt will indoctrinate all of us on that. But that is when we first connected, we first met, and obviously, we were there to do site visits, and I was there to learn. It was a familiarization trip as well to learn all about the ins and outs of Arizona, specifically in that area in Phoenix. But what was really nice is that, a lot of times when you go to a destination, it's the people that make the destination. I mean, it makes it memorable, and you certainly did that for me, Matt. So I'm just happy I know you.
Well, I feel fortunate too. I think I still remember that day. We're getting ready for, after seeing all the different sites in the area and learning about, what the CVBs do
Mhm.
and all the different vendors. And you came to the reception and you had these really great sneakers. And I myself I have more shoes than I have feet. So I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but again, I think we have a shoe game that's on par, and
And
we like to step out in our best sneakers when the
absolutely.
opportunity serves us.
Absolutely. And even if it doesn't, we bring the sneaker game up and people are like, "Man, why didn't I think to do that?" I was just like, you have to be a true sneakerhead to know what that is. So that's us.
That's us in a nutshell. And again, I think like you said, it's the people that you meet at these experiences, right? We in our industry under normal times we're traveling a lot, we're getting in front of one another, and a lot of the time we don't have a lot of time to meet with each other. It's like a 6 minute, 10 minute appointment if you're lucky,
Right.
and so you just have that first impression and you have that conversation and and again it's all about connecting, right? So
Absolutely.
later on down the line there may be a business opportunity, but we connected on a one-on-one personable level, and then every time we see each other through the years at different shows, whether in person or now even virtual, just a couple of weeks ago we met, we
Yes.
have that common ground
Mhm.
and that curiosity. So then I always ask you, hey, what new shoes did you get this go around, right? Like,
Yes.
have you tried this coffee shop in the San Diego area? Because I also had family in the San Diego area as well, so we had a lot of common ground.
Absolutely. And I always say this, whether the business opportunity presents itself right when we would love it to, or if it's later on down the line, the wonderful thing that I am just a stickler about is that I do some of the best business with my friends. And you know how they say, oh, you shouldn't mix business and pleasure. Well, we're in the game where you're supposed to mix business and pleasure. That's what we're all about in hospitality, tourism. And as we know right now, with everything that's going on in the world, it's really important for us to tap into those moments where you're checking on your folks that you work with, or that you will have a potential partnership in the future, and just really rally behind each other and support each other during this pandemic. And just kind of segueing into that, how are things going in the way of Tempe tourism right now as a result of our current state with the pandemic?
Sure. I mean, certainly things have, drastically slowed down because when the pandemic, hit the States, it was during our prime season. So we're right in the middle of spring break, spring training, Major League Baseball. We have 13 teams in Arizona. So all of that was going on. And my wife and I were traveling for her spring break. And we were in Hawaii when everything was starting to slowly shut down here. So we got back and like everything had just, closed up shop in a matter of days, right?
Right.
Um, so again, fortunately, some of our properties, as we headed into summer, had to close temporarily, but have since reopened as college has resumed. We have seen some bookings of meetings on the smaller side. And Tempe, we are a smaller to mid-sized destination. We don't have a big convention center to fill. If you need a convention center, we're going to refer you to our friends down in Phoenix or Mesa, or even some of the larger resort properties in Scottsdale. So again, we kind of focus on that small to mid-sized group in Tempe, and ever since the pandemic hit, we've just been working with our partners, staying into close contact with our hoteliers, our meeting planners, and just to see what is this going to look like and start having the conversation about modeling. What would meetings look like with all the CDC compliance in place. And again, so we've had a couple of events. We've even had a half triathlon about a couple 2 weeks
Wow.
ago.
Okay.
And then we have Ironman coming up as well in November. So we're still having events. Again, with safety precautions and distancing,
Yeah.
the event organizers are doing the best that they can to keep it a safe experience. And that's what we want. We want people to be here, to be safe. And again, just we're all going to have to be flexible. So we're just planning for the future at this point and having those conversations with planners like yourself. What does end of 21 look like, 22 and 23 and beyond? Because there are some groups that do plan 2, 3 years out in advance. So if we can get ahead of it now, talk about it, and then if something has to change, we're going to work with our hotel partners and the planners to find that best resolve at the end of the day to be flexible, and then reschedule, right?
Can you say reschedule again?
You reschedule.
Planners reschedule, hashtag reschedule, because this is not going to always be the case. I mean, obviously things are going to look differently, taste differently, feel differently, but we are a resilient, and I think it's really important because I know that that's the part of my job that I love the most. And I would hate to think that I wouldn't be able to come back and have those experiences that we've all, come to know and love. And so I encourage folks all the time. I'm just like, look at it. And I know that, like what you were saying, the hotel partners and different venues and everything, they're willing to work. We all want to come back together and get this going like it was BC before
Mhm.
COVID. And so, with that being said, I encourage all of my planners, whether corporate, third party, association, whatever it is, definitely rebook and reschedule, and just know that, we're all longing for that time where we're all back together doing what we do best, which is
Yes.
meet and create experiences. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
And
Let me
and
just, oh, go right ahead.
I was gonna say, and what we empathize with you and the planners out there is some of you have had to reschedule 2 or 3 times because we didn't know the length of COVID, BC, right? And so, as a planner, sometimes depending on what type of planner you are, you may be independent. You're only getting paid once. So as that meeting keeps having to shift and be rescheduled, you're sometimes doing 3 and 4 times the amount of work than you would normally have to do. And again, planners have a very challenging job. It's very complex, a lot of moving parts. So again, that's where we're here to help. Because if maybe a property now you've rescheduled it, but because of social distancing, they might not all be able to fit on the same property. So
Certainly.
let us help you find what are the other next best properties that could house that event to still have a great experience.
Absolutely. And I don't know if people who are not necessarily familiar with tourism or utilizing your CVBs, but that's one of the things I learned long ago, even when I was at a former company and I was kind of doing things on my own. And I can say some of the best advice that I ever received was from another planner. And I just happened to kind of share with her that I was having some difficulty. Obviously, we were doing a meeting in a different city and state, and wanting to get some ideas. So I'm just feverishly Googling. She's like, "Did you reach out to your CVB?" And I'm like, "What's that?" She's like, "What? Girl, let me change your life." And I'm like, literally, it has changed my life. And I love having the partnerships with your CVBs because one, you're knowledgeable on everything in the area. And one of the things that I heard you just saying is that your other partnerships that you have with other locations, whether, it's Phoenix or Tucson or whatever, in your neighboring, surrounding areas, that you guys will defer clients that way if you realize that maybe this not is not necessarily the fit, but you guys have a great partnership and you refer back and forth. And I think that's indicative of what we need, not only in the industry, but in the world. Like, let's share, let's help each other, you know,
Yeah, collaborate. It's not that hard.
collaborate. Yes. My good friend Russell Edmond, who you know, would
Yep.
always say connect in collaboration. So shout out to Russell. Thank you so much. He was actually there when we met. And so
Yes.
I tell you, I had so many wonderful friendships that started at that wonderful fam and smart meetings connection. So thank you for that. One of the things that I really wanted to touch on while we were talking today is like you mentioned how we were able to connect last week during Connect. It was based in Orlando at the Marriott World Center, if I'm correct. And it was the second in-person meeting that I had done. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to connect with Matt face to face, but we were virtual, much like how we are now. And as you can see, the energy and the synergy is still there no matter what. So that's a good thing. But the one good thing that I can honestly say, and obviously things were different when we were all meeting face to face for the folks that were there in person, um, was that it was just good to see people and to know that we are in effect moving back towards where we were BC and trying to make sure that business is pushing forward and those relationships are solidified and or you're creating new relationships and partnerships. And so that was a really good feeling, and even though it looked vastly different than what we were used to in the way of how we did receptions and entertainment and things of that nature, the thing that was solid was that I could reach out and connect with my partners and my friends, much like you. So that was good. That was really good. And the wonderful thing is, too, that we've all kind of been indoctrinated on because of the pandemic is that even if you weren't used to doing virtual meetings, you quickly learned how to, right?
Right. Exactly.
I was just like, wow. And it's so funny because it used to be like I would kind of get excited because like if I could see somebody that was in another location I hadn't seen, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be great. And now it's just like I pick up the phone and someone FaceTimes me, I'm like, I don't want to look at you while I talk. I want to do it old school. I just want to talk.
Yeah. Just hear the voice once in a while, right?
Exactly, exactly. So tell me, what are there any I know that you have a lot of great events that are still happening, which is wonderful to hear. But are there any new things that are coming to the Tempe area that should be a good draw, not only for planners, but obviously even for the leisure or
Sure.
transient travelers?
Well, what's been great and which really has not stopped since COVID has hit is a wide variety of new properties being constructed in Tempe. So over the last, I would say 5, 6 years, Tempe's kind of been a great sort of hybrid market, if you will, where new brands have emerged. The Graduate Hotel opened their first college themed hotel in Tempe and
Nice.
has now expanded. I believe they have over 20 properties throughout the US.
Hmm.
So in that vein, we've been getting more brand new builds. So we just opened this summer the Canopy Hotel by Hilton. So it was kind of the first canopy in our region,
Okay.
which is exciting. Um, Definitely a four diamond property right out the gate, perfect for that leisure traveler rooftop pool.
Nice.
Just a couple blocks away, there's a brand new Westin being built, which would be great for smaller conferences, but again, great for that leisure traveler.
Okay.
And then again, just the culinary scene in Tempe, new restaurants have opened up during the pandemic, so I'm excited to go and try some of those new coffee shops and eateries.
Yes.
So again, depending on what time of year you want to be here, and again, the weather's sunny most of the year,
Right.
we can also be more creative because weather isn't so much a factor, where maybe it's you take that smaller meeting and host it outside. We have the Desert Botanical Gardens that's just right up the road. They've got a lot of outdoor sort of natural spaces. They have like a hummingbird garden area. That would be great for an outdoor meeting that's sort of insulated by the Sonoran Desert. Get to be around birds and plants. That kind of takes your stress down, but you can have like a
Yeah.
nice business meeting and no one's stressed out. So there's just a lot in our area to kind of drive. And Tempe's like you said, we're a college town, so there's and we're, but we're a multi-generational city as well. So right on the campus, they've just finished building the Marabella project, which is a senior living facility in
Oh,
conjunction with Arizona State University. But they're
okay.
going to be doing some collaborations where these seniors who are now probably mostly retired, they can share some of their experiences via classes and workshops at the university,
Oh,
but
that's
also
amazing.
ASU, Arizona State University, has a commitment to lifelong learning.
Mm,
So those residents can also take a college class. So again, there's just all this different types of energy, multi-generational, and that creative spirit that's in Tempe right now. So we're continuing to build, we're continuing to add new experiences. And so we're excited for people to come out and try those, whether it be leisure. And as you know, a lot of time our business trips take us to a destination.
yes.
And then we're like, I gotta go back there for a vacation because I got a glimpse, but it drove that curiosity that you want to go back. So that's kind of what
Absolutely.
Tempe's all about.
I love that. And I love that you speak to that because a lot of times, even as a meeting planner, when we're coming to a location, one of the things that we enacted in 2019 was if we have a meeting or event that takes place over the course of 2 or more days, it's really important for us to give back to the community in which our meeting is being housed. And so, with that being said, I'm hearing so many wonderful things that we can kind of tap into. And I absolutely love the lifelong learning. I mean, I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to that. And I got my master's degree a few years back. But, learning never stops. I mean, as we know, during the pandemic, everyone is tapping into their CVents and, getting certifications and things of that nature. So, I love hearing that, and I love what the partnerships that are taking place there in Tempe. That's wonderful.
Well, and what's been cool about this as we've all sort of evolved and changed the way we build the relationships, keep the relationships going. I've had a planner perform a virtual site inspection at one of our properties in Tempe during the pandemic, during the summer, but then ended up booking two different programs, one for the fall and one for early spring of 21,
Mm,
just based on seeing, the hotel and the property with the sales manager virtually sort of via a Zoom call, right?
yeah,
So that's an exciting thing again, as we're all sort of pressed for time, especially you on the planning side, where
very
you're looking at a wide variety of events over the course of months, days, weeks, and years. We could save you a little time. Not that it takes not that you don't get the same experience, but if you're in a pinch and need a plan, for a meeting for beginning of next year, you could see the space and get a feel. And then I could be the boots on the ground and say, yeah, Cheryl, I checked out all the things and it's going to work for your group, right? So it
absolutely.
saves you a trip, but then when you are out here, then you can truly experience it for yourself.
Which is even nicer, and that speaks to us having that relationship that we talked about in the beginning. Is because on the planner side of things, when I know that I'm able to convey to you, especially if I've already brought a program to you and then you kind of want to recreate it but do some things that are different, and you have someone that you've been working with and they kind of know your group and they know those little nuances that you definitely want to include. It's nice when you have that relationship because you're able to act on my behalf and bring those things to fruition. And I always like to say, make me look like a rock star to my executives. And it's a win-win for everyone that's there to experience the meeting or event. And so that's why I encourage that relationship building.
Well, and it's sometimes just those littlest things. Like it might be the group is looking for a very particular meal for like a breakout night or, an evening out on the town. And one time, I had a client reach out. They're like, we're looking for, a really good barbecue spot, and it's kind of, we're looking for like a Southern barbecue spot. And there's this great barbecue spot in Tempe called Old Miss. And we made the connection and they went and they got up, catering for it. And it was kind of a super exciting time. And they got to spend time with the pit master and the
Wow.
restaurant kind of went above and beyond for the group for this was one meal, and until I had to do a little research, it's like right in my backyard. So it makes me a tourist in my own community when I get the request. They're like, Matt, where can we find, a really good locally roasted coffee spot? Like my favorite coffee, kind of in your neck of the woods, is Panic and Coffee in Encinitas. Love that place so much.
Oh,
I wish we
yes,
could get a franchise in Tempe, but we've got a lot of great coffee here in Tempe as well. So it's like, okay, let me try to connect what you're looking for and what we have and kind of marry the two together.
absolutely. I love that. And that goes back to what I was mentioning earlier is that you all are just a wealth of information when it comes to even if you're planning an event that does not have rooms attached to it per se, if you're looking to do a board dinner or, simply it may be that it's a small reception that you don't need a room or, guest rooms attached, then you still want to tap into obviously Matt here because he's able to provide you, and especially when you provide him with the demographics of your group, kind of what you're looking for, and he can make recommendations based on, the things that you have presented, and then also make other recommendations that you may not be aware of that again will make you look like a rock star. So
Especially where to buy some good shoes too. Might not be
absolutely.
might not be in Tempe, but I know a spot right up the street. So the Undefeated store in Phoenix will get you set up.
Undefeated. So we'll talk about that later. But I seen in a magazine and I was just like, I need to go there. Maybe when I come back out next time, we'll make that our road trip and we'll do
But
that.
yeah, we'll do a little sneaker shopping. I like
I love
that.
that.
And well, one of the other things too that's sort of unique too is every day is different when it comes to meeting planning and being a destination, right? I
Mhm.
never know what type of group is going to be sourced. So again, there's certain things where there's a great repeatable process because some groups have a very standard way of thinking, but then they're looking for an activity. We had a group several years back that was a bunch of satellite scientists from all around the country and around the world. So there was actually, they all worked for the same company, but there was engineers in France and Spain and China and Japan, and they're all coming together to work on sort of a satellite technology. And we connected them with the Legoland experience. And there's a master builder that did a little project,
Okay.
like a satellite project. And the planner said it was like one of the best things they could have ever thought of because just the sheer act of playing with the Lego helped them communicate in a different way, and it sort of helped with the language barrier. And then they all had their big dinner at the Culinary Dropout restaurant in Tempe, and everybody ended up going back to that restaurant like multiple nights because there were so many different tastes and flavors that they might not get from back home, which was really cool.
That is definitely cool. And it speaks to one of the things that I talked about in last week's podcast is, just playing to those differences that we all have. I mean, we all know that we all come from different walks of life and backgrounds, but it's to be celebrated, that diversity. And I love that more so than ever before, diversity inclusion is being, a focal point, and I think it's wonderful when you have people that come from, all walks and they're able to, I mean, who I remember being a kid, my mom wanted us to be quiet. She get that big tub of Legos and dump them in the middle of the room and like have at it. But it was able to settle us down. We were able, like you said, to communicate and be creative. And so I think that was a phenomenal idea to do that. And I mean, obviously they loved it since they came back several nights. So that's
Yeah, it's just listening, right? It's a simple thing, and say, "You tell me what you need, and then we'll put it together and present it back to you." And then if there's additional asks, okay, or if we don't have it, we'll find somebody who does, right? At the end of the day,
absolutely.
and to your point before, that spirit of collaboration. Again, Arizona tourism is a major driver of our economy. So even if they don't happen to choose Tempe, but they go down the road to Phoenix or Scottsdale or Mesa or Tucson, or even up to Flagstaff. At least it's keeping them in the state, and they're still getting to experience all the different beautiful spots that Arizona has to offer. So at the end of the day, it's a win for everybody, right? Just
Absolutely.
to get them here.
Absolutely. And I can speak to this. What was it? July of last year, we opened up a new call center for my company in Phoenix. And, I'm still getting to learn the general area. And again, tapped into Matt, and he was able to make suggestions. I mean, obviously, as we're building out the center, we had different executives that were coming in and new employees, and we wanted to do collaborative dinners and tapping into places to stay for, my travelers that are coming in maybe for 3 nights this week and maybe 5 nights next week. And you guys were really instrumental in helping me build these connections with the hotel partners. And as a result, I have a few that I have established negotiated rates. So when we have people that come in, for business, whether they're our employees or people that we're collaborating with, and we're able to offer them, a negotiated rate. And because we have these partnerships, I can, kind of say, hey, can we get a dinner real quick? Or can we have amenity brought to the room? And it's really wonderful. And I can't thank you enough for being that a lightning rod, if you will, that gets me in there. And again, makes me look like a rock star. So
Well,
I
that's what we're here to do, and that's the other best thing is our services are free of charge, right?
Now speak to that, because people don't believe this when we say that, but I feel like you need to speak to this because even my CEO was just like, nothing is for free. I was just like, okay. So I would love for you to speak to that, please.
so for all you meeting planners out there, um, all pretty much all the convention and visitors bureaus that are throughout the country, most of us are funded by bed tax. Um, so there are also some membership organizations. We don't have any membership, so we're just promoting, Tempe in our area and all of our best partners. But how that works is when people do come to our destination and stay, there's at the end of your bill, there's taxes paid on your room stay, and a
Yes.
percentage of those taxes go back to fund our marketing efforts as a CVB. So that allows myself to go to shows, to meet planners like Cheryl, build relationships with planners all around the country. Especially we work in different markets as well. So if my key focus is environmental, medical groups, sustainability, pharma, technology, I'm going to those shows that are specific for those planners' needs. So it allows for us to market the destination not only to vacationers, but then again to planners, to businesses, so they can plan their meeting in the Southwest or as they're looking about the country. So again, we are a free service. So there's no added bill, there's no charge. So we have these resources to again help drive business back into our community and our economy. So again, we are a driver of economic impact through our marketing efforts, and we have multiple ways that we market to people, whether it be consumer or to planners and businesses that you represent. So it's exciting.
I love that. And I think too, you have this vested interest because you're a part of the community. And it's kind of like when you go to an exotic destination or any destination really, and you want to see what the locals are doing. Well, you know what the locals are doing because you're one of the locals. So you can speak to that and really provide some great insight on experiences and really help, like you said, people like myself curate an experience for my group that is memorable, and like you said, it keeps them coming back to the destination over and over. So I'm really thankful for that. And every chance I get, there was that young lady that I told you about that told me, you're doing this all wrong, you need to tap into your CVBs. And I love that because obviously it creates that partnership, but beyond that, we're able to continue to keep those dollars flowing into the area, and it's a win-win for everybody. So
It really is, and I think those dollars towards the future will be definitely needed, more so than ever. Because again, our industry, has taken some big hits. But again, we look past that. We look like what does the future look like? And we know we can do some amazing things down the road once we're all safe and sound.
Yeah.
And that's the other benefit too. It's depending on what time of year you're coming to Tempe, and to Arizona in general. But Tempe is kind of a hub of festivals throughout the year. So we have the Aloha Festival, the October Festival,
The Renaissance.
the Renaissance Festival just down the way,
Yeah.
the Festival of the Arts. We do a spring and a holiday Festival of the Arts throughout the year. So depending on when the group is in town, and then there's spring training, um, people get to
You know I
experience all
love the
these
spring
things.
training.
Exactly. Padres? What? Where?
Hello.
And so it's exciting that people can experience that in addition to, like you're saying, it's important to experience the destination just beyond the meeting side of it, right? So what is that team building activity that people could do? And we have a lake in our downtown. So the Tempe Town Lake is sort of the jewel in the desert. I call Tempe the oasis of opportunity because that's the side of the dragon boat races, the Aloha Festival, Oktoberfest, Ironman Triathlon. We did the Innings Music Festival last February. So there's always something to be seen and done, all within this tiny little big city of ours.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am all about the experiences, so I'm here for it. And any opportunity that, obviously I can recommend or bring people your way or bring more business your way, then that's definitely what I want to do. But again, I can't speak enough to having the partnership and the friendship, and especially when you're in the midst of what we're going through right now, it's really important to tap into just that awareness and being connected, because Lord knows, I mean, there's been so much that separates us right now, and I'm just glad that we're moving towards healing, literally across the board. So really looking forward to seeing what the new world looks like, in comparison to what it was BC, but it can't come soon enough. So
No, and I think that's important. I think again, it's if we can take the time to make more connections, and sometimes, people don't realize how much more they have in common, right? Because they didn't have the conversation or didn't, say, "Hey, I like your shoes," and that, has the whole conversation around it, and it could talk for hours about it. And it's just those little things that bring us together. And it's also great when hadn't seen you in a few years, but we keep in contact throughout the year. But our 6 minute conversation at Connect, a week and a half ago, brought us right back to the connection we have, and then led to me being a guest on All About the Experiences. So that's just great when you can fall back in with people that you don't unfortunately get to talk to every day or every week. But
right.
it's building those relationships and having that common celebration and respect of one another,
Yes.
and that's what it's all about, right? It's just
Yes.
let's be there for one another because we all have hard days. It's not always easy, even though we get to travel and experience this world for our industry. There's a lot of work that then the follow up that has to go beyond that to make a successful meeting happen, and to make those meaningful meetings go off without a hitch, make you look like a rock star, make people enjoy the destination so that they want to come back on their own dime, right? So
Absolutely.
there's a lot to it, a lot of moving parts, but again, it's all about who we know, and again, just sharing the respect and the love for one another, just to keep it real. Like that's all we
That's
need. We
right. Just
just we
keep it
need we need
real.
we just need we need more of that. More of those conversations, and
Yes.
and again, it just builds upon itself, and then we share friends, right? So it becomes, I got to introduce you to Cheryl, and you got to meet my colleague Melora Hathaway at
Yes.
Smart Meetings virtually this year as well.
Yes.
Couple about a week or 2 weeks before we met at Connect, and
Absolutely.
again, it just kind of you share that family experience. And Melora, after she had the appointment with you, she's like, oh, and then she saw that I had an appointment with you for Connect. She goes, oh, Cheryl is such a breath of fresh air. She's incredible, such great energy. And I go, I know, and I'm excited to catch up with Cheryl as well. So again, it becomes, you get to that shared experience. So now you have another friend in Tempe that will help you however we can.
And I so appreciate that. And much to what you said, I mean, you said it so eloquently. It boils down to not only that shared experience, but just knowing that, I'm here in San Diego, but I have a friend there in Tempe that has my back. And you have my back professionally and personally. And I appreciate that. And so that right now in this world that we're living in, we need that. I take it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad to be called a friend. That means a lot. Thank you.
certainly are. Well, let's kind of switch a little bit
Yeah.
because I know that you are well traveled. You, much like myself, we enjoy a good taco and some good food. And your beautiful wife, you guys have been together so long, so we share that in common as well. So definitely, touch base on a little bit about what Matt does, and how you travel the different destinations outside of Tempe.
Well, one of the things that I learned early on, I've been traveling pretty consistently since I was in my late teens, early 20s. I did a lot of skateboarding back in the day.
All
Uh,
right
s-
now.
so so that got me traveling East Coast, West Coast, cross country tours, and that opened up my world immensely, like early on. So I feel very fortunate that I've had these experiences where I got to see what the world has to offer. So when I travel, even how I experience my own town. We've lived in Tempe for 21 years. I just explore it like every nook and cranny, um, like I'm seeing it for the first time. And I think that's what helps me sort of be who I am for you and other clients because I'm seeing it a little bit differently. I'm seeing it with fresh eyes every time I can. So when I travel, like my wife and I, Sarah, we were fortunate to go to Spain and Portugal um, in 2019, and I'm half Portuguese, and it was just so amazing because I got to see people that look like me and enjoy some of the food and some of the culture that way. But
Mhm.
I love to walk in a destination. Like most of the time, I don't rent a car in major cities, and we just will to use public transportation. We will
Love
walk
that.
till our feet are tired. You- But you get to, and that's why good sneakers are important. But we'll get back to
Yeah.
that another day. Um, and but it's just getting out there and just exploring like the mom and pops of the world.
Mhm.
And I am a big firm believer of supporting the local businesses however I can.
Absolutely.
um, and you just get out there and just have conversations with people. And so it's sort of funny as I've traveled, and there's only 7 states in the US I have not been to. And so I'm 46. I have not been to 7 states, but I will get there eventually.
Okay.
um, and it's funny because then when I do travel for business or travel with friends, like on a weekend getaway somewhere, I'll run into people that I know either from my skateboarding days or just
Uh-huh.
from previous trips. Like sometimes I'll go to a city multiple times,
Mhm.
and or like some art shows that I've participated in. And so it becomes this kind of fun thing. And I've got a buddy who's like, everybody everywhere we go. And like sure enough, like when we hang out and I can go and do things, I'll run into somebody that might know me, whether from work or from other projects, and it's fun, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of a
It's
surreal
like the six
experience.
degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it's the 6 degrees of Matt.
Yeah, something like
Everybody
that.
knows somebody knows you.
Yeah,
I
it might
love
even
it.
be 5 degrees. I don't even know. I don't know if you can get any closer than that, but
I
everyone's
love it.
everyone's a brother or sister or cousin to me at this point. Um,
Absolutely.
but that's kind of the fun thing, and that's kind of how I live my life is just be open to people, open to the world. Um,
Mhm.
because again, we all have the basic needs, and sometimes you just never know. And sometimes you come up with a friend that you wouldn't expect to be a friend, right? Like there used to be a,
Absolutely.
a lady in Connecticut. Um, she actually was homeless for a long time, but she sold flowers, right? And we would see her every day. We'd be out skateboarding, and we would give her a couple bucks here and there. And eventually, she really grew that flower selling business into something larger for herself, and was able to get off the streets and get out of the shelters.
Oh,
And
wow.
so when I go back home, she still remembers me. I mean, I don't look as young as I used to, and I'm,
You
20
look the
pounds
same.
heavier, 20 pounds heavier with all those good tacos. But she recognizes me, and that feels good. Like that we made
Mhm.
that connection a long time ago. And just
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I see the world, really. And I'm
Oh,
fortunate that my wife loves to travel. She's my travel planner.
I love
Um,
it.
she plans all of our trips, and then what once she's got the trip planned, then I'll come up with some itineraries, right? So then that'll be my responsibility. And she'll be like, "Do you have the itinerary yet?" And I'm like, "No." And then I'll get to it eventually, and then there's some room for spontaneity.
There
But
you
like
go.
we could do New York City in 5 hours, right? So when we go back to visit family in Connecticut, we'll take the train in, and we come up with like an art exhibit, a place to go and eat, maybe a couple coffee stops and a place to shop, and then we're back on the train by dinner, and that's pretty awesome.
That is really awesome. And you know what I really love about our some of our first conversations that we have, the way that you speak about your wife, she's your best friend. And I felt like, even though I haven't met her yet in person, I feel like we're connected just because of how highly you speak of her, and just those experiences that you share. It draws you closer,
Yeah.
and it definitely gives you a lot to reminisce about that you guys have experienced. But I love that. I love that you take your best friend on all these journeys with you. And so that's a wonderful thing. And not a lot of people can say that. So you're definitely in that fortunate class. And you didn't pay me to say that. That's
No,
how
no,
I really feel. So, yeah.
no. I really I am very fortunate to have somebody who has my back, and pushes me creatively when I need to be working on creative stuff every now and again, because that keeps me balanced. And
Yeah.
just planning those trips to see the world. Like I want to do like a walking tour of Japan, like at some point in the future. Like I would just love to go. I'm hooked on this PBS show, Journeys in Japan, and
Journeys in Japan. I'll have to
and
check it out.
yeah, and they just like do all these little villages and everything. But it looks like an amazing place to kind of get like beyond Tokyo, right? Go
Right.
beyond Tokyo and get to like the countryside. There's just beautiful stuff to see. But I am fortunate to have, someone in my life that again gives me the support. And she's a brilliant potter, right? So I'll have to send you a piece of her work as she puts out the latest things. But
I would be
we
honored.
actually we met in a pottery class years and years ago. So that's where we first met. So it's cool to meet somebody who's creative, but also has like all those same interests about traveling. Like that's where we connected. She's like, you travel, I travel, and just we've been traveling ever since. So that's
I love
pretty
it.
awesome.
That is very awesome. I love that even amidst everything that's going on, you're still thinking in terms of, and I hear you saying this the whole time that we've been talking, that we are going to be beyond this. And so we will be able to have those experiences. And the fact that you're already thinking about what your next great excursion is going to be is wonderful. And, one of the things that I've come to learn, even growing up, is even before I was well traveled, is that I lived through my imagination, or the goals that I set for myself, that I wanted to do this, or this is on my bucket list. And I can honestly say that I'm like, obviously it's going to be a long time before I check off everything, but I'm at a point now where I'm able to put something on my list and really work towards making it come to fruition, and to check it off and have that experience. And I mean, this platform, I mean, it speaks for itself. I
It
have
does.
wonderful experiences with amazing people that come into my life, no matter how they came in, whether it's somebody I knew from a childhood, through school, or, in because of work and everything. But, one of the things that you spoke on earlier is like, people say this about me too: no matter where I am, I have a friend. And I feel like that's important, because I love to leave a piece of myself with someone, but I also want to get a piece of them. And that helps really refine sometimes and define you know, those experiences and those connections. And like I said, this little girl here in San Diego County knows that she has a homie that's in Tempe that has her back. So that's all that matters, you know?
That's it. What more can we ask for?
Exactly. And
And I know where
my
the best
sneakers,
tacos in town are, so there we go.
tacos, coffee, and sneakers. Hello. Is there
Done.
anything more?
Not much.
Hi, I'm here for it. Well, I know that we're getting towards the end, and I don't want to end because I talk to you, you know me, talk to you for hours. But is there anybody aside from Sarah, because we're going to give her some more shots out, that you would like to speak to about some of the experiences that you've had, or just give a special accolade to?
Gosh, that's hard. You know what? The one lady who is really special to me is a former coworker of mine, Ginger Duday,
Okay.
and Ginger was our office manager. She retired just at the beginning of COVID.
Oh,
Um, and I met Ginger actually because my wife, I was in between contracts. This is about 11 years ago. I was in between contracts, and so I had a couple months before my next contract started with a previous employer, and so my wife's like, "Why don't you just get out and volunteer? You know, a couple days a week until your new gig starts up." And I'm like, "That sounds awesome." And so I did, and I went to a volunteer fair here in Tempe at the library, and I met Ginger Duday, and she just was like, she reminded me instantly of my grandmother. Now,
mm,
just beautiful soul, great lady. But Ginger's like, please come help out at the office. So I helped out on a couple projects for a few months, and then went off for about 3 years on my contract with a different employer. And I kept in contact with all the staff at Tempe Tourism Office. So
okay.
my first iteration with Tempe was as a volunteer, and then a
Wow.
couple years later, how I got ended up getting my job is my contract ended, and there was another opportunity, and I was doing some other interviewing, but I'm like, I really like the culture of this place. So as I was interviewing, looking for some other opportunities, I went back and volunteered for a couple of months, and then again, some opportunities opened up in the sales department, and my background's been sales for a long time, and it just happened, and it was really all because of Ginger. So I love to give a shout out to Ginger, and I'll have to tell her
Shout
to
out to
watch
Ginger.
watch this episode. But yeah, she's a
Absolutely.
great lady, and she's a kindred spirit like us, right? Wherever she goes, she knows somebody, and everybody has a great word and loves her. So it's like, I kind of aspire to set my standard to Ginger status.
I want to set my standard a little bit higher to Ginger status too. So thank you, Miss Ginger. I appreciate you. And because of you, I know Matt. So I appreciate you as well. How
Thanks,
about
Ginger.
that? Well, as we're nearing the end of what has been a wonderful hour of connecting, and I'm looking forward to getting back to a place where I'm able to see you in person. And I'm gonna have to give me a rapid COVID test because when I see you, I'm giving you a hug because I just
That's
got
right.
to. You know how it is, yes. But I just want to thank you so much, Matt, for coming on my platform, sharing with us about all the wonderful things, Tempe, all the wonderful things that are you. And I just have to give a special shout out to Sarah as well, because I'm like, this guy, hello. I mean, you hit the jackpot for them, girl. I mean, like, and I know that vice versa. You guys are a beautiful match, but it's wonderful, especially with all the turmoil we have going on, when you have two people that come together and just do wonderful things and have great experiences together. And you were able to share that here with us. So I hope that inspires people, whether they're in love, think they're falling out of love, or looking for love. It can be done, and just embrace it, right?
Exactly. And thank you,
Embrace.
and congratulations to you for this platform. And so I'm excited for when we get back to doing what we do best. We'll have to do an episode live from downtown Tempe.
I
So
love it. Drinking coffee with our sneakers on.
yeah,
How
I
about
love it.
that?
We've got it on the calendar for 20, 21, 22, whatever it is.
2021. I'm
Let's do
claiming
it.
it. You know, my grandmother always said you need to put it out there in the air and claim it, and it shall be done. So
All right, we'll put it on the calendar.
2021. Well, again, Matt, thank you so much for coming to the platform and sharing so many wonderful insights and just simply being who you are. I appreciate your partnership from a business perspective, but even more so, I appreciate your friendship. So
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
that. And as I always tell everyone, it's really important that, you check in with the folks that are around you, especially I keep mentioning and all that's going on in the world. You check in, you get the folks that you care about and you love their flowers now. But more importantly, you got to take care of yourself. So definitely checking in and making sure that you're going to have those experiences to share. And if you want to come and share them here with me on the All About the Experiences, Living Without Limits, go ahead and drop me an email at Cheryl at allabouttheexperiences.com. And take care and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, you too.